Hey guys, today's episode is a very special one to me. Chest is something that I have always struggled with for many years. I'm a classic shoulder-dominant physique with long arms and a narrow frame. Ever since I was a small child, I never really felt the muscles in my chest. In high school, I could barely bench 135, and I had the flattest chest that you have ever seen. I spent years benching the wrong way, which led to highly developed shoulders and a very underdeveloped chest. It may have been that way for me, but it does not have to be that way for you. If this sounds like you, and you have a difficult time getting a firm chest pump, if you don't get sore in the pectoral area, and bench is your weakest lift, then this video is for you. I'm going to show you how you can overcome your faulty mind-muscle connection by unlearning bad habits and learning new ones that are going to serve you far better. So I started off with cable flies. The reason is that cable flies are very forgiving, they allow a big stretch, and it is a great movement for learning to build the connection with your chest. I'm going very light here. All I want to do at this moment is to feel my pectoral tendons activating while pumping blood into the chest. Before we start pushing any real weight, it is important to fill your chest full of blood and firing in all cylinders. Cable flies have a way of making it easy to cancel out your shoulders from the movement. That's why this exercise is so important to guys like us. For guys who are shoulder dominant and have a hard time activating the chest, it is important to know that the help that people like us need is different. If we ask someone with a great chest how to improve our chest, they would give us good information, no doubt. But you have to keep in mind that people like that never struggled with their chest, and they don't understand the problems that we face. So the help that guys like us need is different from the advice that we receive from others who do not have the same issue. You have to understand that the reason you don't feel your chest firing is because your shoulders are taking on most of the workload. You are going to have to learn how to leave the shoulders behind so that way your chest can lead the way. What I just told you is the holy grail of building the chest that you have always wanted. I'll say it one more time. Leave the shoulders behind so that way your chest can lead the way. This is non-negotiable. While doing any chest exercise, you need to arch your back and keep your chest up at all times. Elevating the chest is a major component to putting it in a strong position. Anytime you allow the chest to cave in, your shoulders will take over the motion. You are going to have to unlearn your bad habits. So be ready to approach your next chest day with a curious mindset and realize that you are starting from scratch. Because you are changing what is first nature to you, and you have to realize that you need to lighten the workload and focus on building new connections that have never existed. This will never happen if you are lifting with sets that are from 8 to 12 reps. I realize that 8 to 12 is the optimal range for hypertrophy, but it means nothing if you don't have a connection with the muscles. Realize that you are going to spend several weeks practicing new form so that in a few months you can use your newly found connections to build muscle in the 8 to 12 range. But for now, you need to be in the 20 plus range. I challenge you to take half the weight that you would normally move and find a way to squeeze it until you feel a burn in the chest. Learning how to make your chest burn is going to be the game-changing factor. Anyone that has no problem making a muscle burn will have no problem making it grow, as long as they're eating good and all of that. The more you can make it burn, the easier it is for you to grow that muscle. It is that simple. Dips and anything decline. I love all that stuff. The reason is it targets the lower area of the pec. For those of us who are shoulder dominant, this is the area that we need the most. And once you build a connection with the lower pec, the rest of the pec will follow suit. This is why I do lots of decline movements, but it's still important to practice your incline as well. Like any chest motion, you always want your shoulders back and your chest pointed in the direction that you are pushing the weight. Another great tip is that you can imagine that you are trying to push with the lats. Sometimes I'll imagine that while I'm pressing, that I am also trying to take my lats and wrap them around my chest. We all know that is impossible, but learning to drive with the lat through the armpit will teach you where the power is actually supposed to generate from. For many years, all of my power was generated directly from the shoulder. When I learned how to generate power from my armpit, it completely changed everything. Another big tip that helped me was closing my eyes and focusing on the pectoral tendons. For years, I was only focused on moving the weight from point A to point B, and I was wrong for doing this. Now I will close my eyes and feel how my chest is moving. I pay no attention to my arms. This is a very powerful tool that can help you, but you must do this constantly and be aware that you are trying to make changes. If you lose focus, then you will easily slip back into moving weight in the same way that you always have. So close your eyes and focus on how you can use your pec to move the weight. You also want to find the motions that work best for you and stick with them to further build your connection. Pick the 3 exercises that you feel are the best whenever it comes to activating your chest and do them every time you hit your pecs. Mastering or becoming proficient at one will make it easier for you to become proficient at the next. If you don't get sore in the chest from hitting flat bench, then don't commit working sets to flat bench. It doesn't mean you can't give it a try from time to time, but if you aren't feeling it, then move on to things where you do feel it. Now, it is important to build new connections with other lifts that you're not good at. If you have a hard time feeling a certain exercise and you want to improve that exercise, then use it for a warm-up. For example, if you don't get a burn from hitting flat bench, then warm up with it with nothing but the bar and a tiny bit of weight. Pump out sets of 30 reps and try to find a way to allow your chest to be in charge of the movement. But again, just remember that you will never be able to create new connections if you are lifting in heavy sets of 12. Lifting in sets of 12 is awesome, but only whenever you have an excellent connection with that muscle, and this is where you want to be after several weeks of learning good techniques and forgetting all the bad ones. Your focus is also a key factor here. Whenever you are trying to unlearn something that you have been doing wrong for years or more, it is going to require tons of focus and paying attention to detail. Every single set that you do deserves razor sharp focus. You have to keep your head in the game and never forget what your goal is. If you are not focused, then you will inevitably fall back into your old ways of moving the weight. It's too easy to continue making the mistakes, so you have to focus and never lose sight of what you are trying to accomplish. The order in which you do your exercises and which exercises you do is not nearly as important as the focus that you put into it. Even doing push-ups at home is an excellent way to increase your connection. I have done thousands of push-ups off of my knees. Not because I'm not strong enough to do real push-ups, but because I wanted to be able to focus on my chest to build that connection. Even on back day, I will pay a visit to the dip machine or something like that just so I can feel the tendons. I'm not there to move any heavy weight, but solely to constantly familiarize myself with the connection that I'm looking to lock into. Similar to throwing free throws in basketball, if you want to improve, you aren't going to go and shoot 50 baskets and call it a day. You're going to shoot hundreds of baskets and pay attention to detail each time. Learning to improve an exercise that you struggle with is the exact same way. You need to do tons and tons of homework reps before you are able to effectively move a heavier weight. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. If you see value in today's video, hit the like button and subscribe. I'm your